And thank you all for coming. What I'd like to do now is go through a little bit of what the NTER platform is, give you a little overview of that, as well as I'll give you a couple of demos. As you'll see in the schedule, we have some time afterwards for more individual demos and also for some questions and answers, but please feel free to ask questions during the presentation. So, as we're saying, this is an infrastructure for next generation learning. So, as Dr. Kelly mentioned, we do see this as a game changer. It is open source learning technologies that improves capabilities and greatly reduces costs. So, so first, really, what is NTER? And you've heard a lot about this, but it is an open source platform for online learning. It incorporates one or more learning management systems within that. It has a built-in authoring capability, and I'll go into more about some of the 3D aspects of that. And it has the content repositories and formats, and really is built to encourage reuse of content. So not only is the platform itself open source, the tools have been designed to facilitate ease of content creation and reuse of the content. It is also building blocks for what we see as an ecosystem of online learning. So the architecture for NTER itself supports a single instance of the platform or multiple instances that cooperate and share content across systems. So we have tools within the platform that support that, including a single sign-on, searching for content across instances, and the ability to access that content across those instances. And that's all capable or all possible for users from their home system. So again, what's special then, again, we can't overemphasize the open source nature of this. So it's a low cost. The cost really is for the use of the system. The source code is freely downloadable. There's no per seat license, no vendor lock for organizations wanting to use the system. And we have 3D interactions within the browser. And what that does is it enables 3D performance-based assessment without a download, any kind of a game engine that's downloaded from the internet. So this is all accessible through the web. So you can have rich 3D interactive content via a web interface. And the architecture, some of the features that I mentioned that support this standalone as well as multiple cooperating systems. The single sign-on capability allows one to access the home system and then content across distributed systems, searching for content across systems, and I'll show a quick example of that, accessing the content across systems, and all of these things really build a foundation for what I said is an ecosystem of online learning. What else is special about the platform? We started early on through working with DOE. We started working with the National Center for Accessible Media to build in accessibility and multilingual support from the start. So they worked with us providing an accessibility roadmap for 508 compliance and access for all. We've incorporated the CC Player video capability and other capabilities already included. They're actually in the current release of the platform. Also included multilingual capability so that we could have multiple languages represented. We support multiple learning management systems. The system right now was originally focused on weatherization, was a national weatherization training platform based on the ILIAS open source learning management system, but we've also incorporated Moodle as another open source system. And it's adaptable to different systems. We could bring in additional learning management systems within the portal and connect them across instances. As far as the content authoring, within the learning management systems, there's a standard type of content authoring, but we've also created a powerful 3D content authoring tool we call CUDA. And what this provides for the skill set we're aiming at as a high school teacher, it's the ability to create interactive and animated 3D content that's then published onto the NTER system. So we have A person can take that content, put in animations, as you'll see, put in performance-based assessment, and then export that out into the NTER platform for use by the student. We support standard content types that you'll see in most learning management systems, text, audio, video. We have a PowerPoint import capability so that learning content that exists in PowerPoint now can be imported into the platform directly. And all of this, again, supports content reuse and use of legacy content. So there's not a requirement to develop one's own content specifically for the NTER platform. The system can be internally hosted by an organization, or we actually have developed this current instance primarily for hosting on the Amazon cloud. And so this, as you'll see, we have a capability to automatically install the NTER on Amazon. A little bit of background where we came from in the system. You heard from Dr. Kelly some of the origin of this. It was sponsored by the Department of Energy, initially as the National Weatherization Training Program. Much of our current content is focused on weatherization at this point, though we do have a number of other courses being stood up. Our initial contract to SRI was in December of 2009. It's currently in use now by about 1,000 active users, and this is the Department of Energy link for the training portal for the weatherization program. We've expanded that to the NTER system really to achieve this vision, Dr. Kelly's vision of a next generation platform and ecosystem. So the current NTER system is available there at enterlearning.org. We have the NTER Hub, I mentioned, is the automated install capability for Amazon. And then actually the open source code is downloadable for NTER at that Google site, code.google.com. The CUDA, Authoring and Animation Tool, also an open source project. That's available for download also on that Google site. And we have efforts in the works. We've got a prototype e-commerce capability. We're working to develop that, make that operational. Looking at support for mobile applications, to support field training, applications on tablets. And we're looking at the development of a standards community to maintain the platform and the code base for the long term. So the idea is that we want to create a community of interest to keep this open source platform alive and sustainable over the long haul, and looking at additional interfaces and features. As I mentioned, there are a number of configuration options. This shows that a bit graphically. So on the far left, the single instance, this is probably a fairly traditional learning management system architecture in which an organization has its users, accesses the NTER portal, accesses courses within a localized learning management system. Likewise, we could support an organization or multiple organizations within connected to a central one with multiple learning management systems. And as I mentioned then too, the confederation of systems, of NTER systems that cooperate through a service registry so that users can access content across the systems from their home system or home platform. A couple of examples, I'll show this as a demo, but some of the examples of the CUDA World Editor, the ability to build 3D simulations without programming. And again, this too runs in the browser with no downloads. What we found in creating the initial sample content for the platform was that animating a lot of the 3D models required some pretty heavy-duty software programming, and CUDA basically goes beyond that so that it's a simple authoring tool requiring no programming or software skills to develop truly interactive content. Again, our goal with the 3D environment is to trade a standard bubble test that you might see in a learning management system or a paper test for a 3D performance-based assessment. So in this case, we're not only developing content for the users to have a different type of learning capability within the system, but also a different type of assessment capability, and I'll show an example of that. As I mentioned, we support all the traditional content within learning management systems, the PowerPoint notes with audio narration, the 3D models as you see, and video also within the system. Some of the organizations using NTER, again, you'll hear from several of them following this, but we've got a lot of use, of course, within the government and within the Department of Energy initially for weatherization, the solar program, clean cities, building technologies, advanced manufacturing. We've been working with Lawrence Berkeley National Lab for an application on lighting and daylighting within the 3D environment. Working also with Department of Labor and a number of other organizations within the government looking and using NTER right now. Industry and trade organizations, you'll hear from the Illinois Green Economy Network using NTER for workforce training and green jobs. National Institute of Building Sciences is using NTER. They're one of our partners in developing weatherization content. You'll hear today also from NAM, National Association of Manufacturers, the National Insulation Association, Frost and Mechanics Union also you'll hear today, the Morelli Center using NTER for Homeland Defense and First Responder training. So you can see there are just a number of organizations with a wide variety of applications for the platform. And with this, I mean, we've heard how this can be, and we believe this is game-changing technology, and this has been recognized since the start of the program. And we started in December of 2009. We were included in a first White House announcement in April of 2011 on federal information technology. We were included in President Obama's announcement on Advanced Manufacturing Initiative following June. And then have been included in the Department of Labor's Trade Adjustment Act grants as a recommended platform. That announcement was made this February, and then most recently, just last week, in the President's initiative to make broadband construction faster and cheaper. So the system has been acknowledged at the White House. Other recognition for it within, it's been included in the Department of Energy Strategic Plan. And following the President's announcement, the platform was introduced by the Manufacturing Institute to train 500,000 manufacturing workers by 2016. We've also received our share of awards, and particularly our sponsors, Michelle Fox and Alex Cohen, the Leadership Award from a firm, Innovation Gold Medal from the Chief Learning Officer Symposium, the Institute Honor Award from NIBS, as well as most recently the award, the Secretarial Achievement Award from Secretary Chu within Department of Energy. So here is contact information. I believe the packets also contain more detailed brief on the NTER platform, more of a standalone packet on containing a lot of information on the platform. What I'd like to do now is go through a couple of demonstrations, give you an idea of what the platform does. So this actually is the home page for NTER. It's up running right now at interlearning.org. You see a number of courses that are listed, featured courses, popular courses, new courses that are listed. You'll also notice, I think there are a couple of examples. Yes, so you see under the attic air sealing beta version, that actually links to a different repository, the weatherization repository. So that's an example of the system actually reaching out to other learning repositories or content repositories. To give you an idea, I'll go ahead and say I'm now a weatherization installer, and I want to see what kind of courseware is available for me. So I'll go ahead and type that in. And there's our installer course. I can go ahead and click on that. You can see all the various course content, the chapters of the installer course, from moisture, house as a system, see air sealing, basements, crawl spaces, and so on. And what I want to focus on right now is the blower door part of this. So this is a test within weatherization in which the weatherization worker does a pressurization test on the house. And so what they have to do is make sure that the house is set up to do this pressurization test, and it requires that they close the external windows, they turn off combustion appliances within the house. And so this was an example that I wanted to show then of how we actually do 3D performance-based assessment. And so in this case, we have a 3D model of a house, and I'll go ahead and start this. So I'm basically, I'm now an installer. I can move around the room. I can open the windows. I know I need to close that. That actually is the model of the blower door. Let me go back. I'm going to go into another room. So this bedroom, I can see the window was open here. I'm going to close that. Also, I need to move one of the tiles in the false ceiling, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Then let me go in the kitchen. Yep, we left the stove on, so need to turn that off. So again, I'm going through this. This is not a scripted example. This is totally free form. I can go through the house, do all of the things that I think I need to do. Yep, that was open. Open that, that's closed. So now, let's say that I think I've done everything I need to do. I've gone through a checklist, and so I've gone through all of these things. Well, okay, so I'll cheat a little bit. You can see this window is open. But I'm going to go ahead and submit this into the system, and it's going to tell me what I missed. And that's all based on the 3D performance-based assessment and the interaction with the model. And again, this is all web-based, so it requires no download. I mentioned also we have brought in a lot of accessibility features into the system. So we actually have an example of the CC player. So we have a lot of material when working with NCAM on this.
Someone watching a car accelerate
so
toward
this
light
is just an
speed
example
would see something
of
very strange.
of
It
content
would seem as though the car itself were getting
developed
shorter,
for the CC player
and the
system.
time for the person in the car
viewer.
were slowing down. However, you wouldn't see these effects until the car began to approach the speed of light. At 90% of the speed of light, the car would appear to shrink to 44% of its usual length. This thought experiment answered Einstein's old question about what he would see if he traveled along with a beam of light. He simply couldn't make the trip, for at the speed of light, length would contract to 0 and time would stop.
So, as you see, we've added a lot of the capabilities into the system. We're still developing more of this. So we look forward to working with you to develop, as part of this community of interest, to develop more capability into it. Now I'd like to show one last example. This is off the CUDA page, and so this is actually where you can download the CUDA system. I've jumped to some examples of this, and I'm going to go to, we call the audio house. So here, okay. So again, you can, this is again built within CUDA. And go ahead and open and close the windows. You can see here that there is a button to enter the house, so let me go inside. Oh, and actually you can hear there's a fire burning on the inside. So I hit enter. Well, it won't let me go in. I didn't open the door. So if I open the door, now I can hit enter, and it lets me go inside. You can see the fire. So, okay. So again, let me, I'll go ahead and close. Yes. Not the best day for a roaring fire, I guess. Okay. All right. Any questions at this point? Okay. We'd like to hear from some of our users. So.